Hi, this is Dave, dad of Girly Keto, also known as Gina, my daughter. Believe it or not, these two chickens came out of the same pack from Costco. It's interesting, the color difference. I was telling Gina earlier that those of you from the East Coast are familiar with Purdue, and I think Foster Farms also in California, they have a more yellow hue to their chickens than what typically you'll find coming out of Arkansas, where the rest of the chickens in the world are grown. And it's because they actually put marigolds in the feed to give them that color. So there's really not a difference in the birds. Now I have two. I'm going to move this one aside, and we're going to cut one up now. And then we're going to post this for you. Okay, so first thing, get a nice chef's knife. This one is actually, it's from a company called New West Knife Works that my wife gave me. It's a beautiful handle. It comes from Costa Rica, the wood. It's an American company. And they really make beautiful knives. So there's a lot of different ways to cut a chicken. We're going to try to make it as simple as possible. So besides having a chef knife, I also, you might guess, use the Joyce Chin scissors, which we talk about. But I also brought along kind of the standard chef scissors that come with a knife set. So we're going to use those in a minute. Now the advantage of cutting a whole chicken up is you can save a lot of money because a whole bird is typically a lot less expensive. In addition to that, for those of you that make bone broth or broth, you get the back area from the chicken too, and you can use that later. You can freeze it and make bone broth out of it. So one thing I also like to do is I use paper towels a lot when I'm working with chicken, because I don't like to use anything that I'm going to reuse, because it's hard to get the chicken juice out of something like a sponge or something. So I always use paper towels. Now the first cuts we're going to make, I'm going to hold this way. The first thing we're going to make is just a small cut to kind of expose the joint of the chicken, okay? And so we'll do that on both sides really quick. Okay, now just to kind of get through the skin. And you can see it here. Now, then what you do is you're going to feel a little bit like a chiropractor from time to time. We're going to turn this and disjoint the bone out of the shoulder. We're going to do it on both sides, okay? You can feel it kind of pop out, and it exposes, as you can see, the top of this bone right here. So we're going to just take that and cut right along the edge of that bone, okay? Making sure not to cut ourselves. And that's going to give you what we would call a leg quarter. So we'll do this on the other side. Remember, we've disjointed that bone, so we kind of know where to go. And we get in there and try to make a straight cut so you keep that dark meat on the top of the thigh bone. Okay, now you got two. Now the interesting thing, Mother Nature has provided some help when it goes to cutting up chicken, because we want to get the thigh and the drumstick separate. So what we're going to do is we look at what's called a line of fat right here. You see that? And that kind of tells you where the two joints come together. And if you just kind of cut right through there, you're going to get right through the joint. Okay, so now you've got 1, 2. We're going to do it again on the other side. This isn't quite as pronounced. So let me show you another way. If it's not as pronounced, you do the same process where you can kind of feel for where that bone is. Okay, and you go right through that piece of fat right there. Okay, now you've got two pieces. So we'll set those aside. 2 thighs, 2 drumsticks. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to cut the wings off. And it's another one where you're going to pull the shoulder. I guess this is more like a shoulder. You can kind of feel for that joint, and then just you can cut right through it. Okay? You have to look a little bit to get it at the right spot. There we go. Okay? And you kind of use the weight of the bird to help you separate it. Here we go. When you guess at the one that I picked, it's giving me a hard time. There we go. Okay, so now we've got 2 wings. Now to do the back, you can kind of feel for where the thin side of the rib cage is. And again, let me wipe my hands off a little bit. we're going to use the scissors. You can use a knife, but it's a little tricky to get it in there without cutting yourself. And it's so easy with this pair of scissors. Okay, so we're going to do the other side now. You can see, just cut through that thin part where the rib cage is, and you come up and you can separate the back. Now the back is, I want to keep that skin intact on the front, so I'll cut through that. Okay, the back, again, as I said, you can freeze it, and there's a lot of meat on there, and it's really great for broth, which we all like. Okay, now, there's a couple ways to separate the middle of the, I'll take off some trim there. What a lot of people like to do is start a little cut here to kind of give it a little bit of help. Okay, then turn it over on the other side. Again, you want to keep the skin intact in case you want to use it for frying. And you can see you've got a nice middle, and then we're going to just cut right down the middle. Okay, and since we've already cut that bone on the other side, it makes it pretty easy to separate the two. Okay, so now you've got 1, 2, 4, 6, 8 pieces and back, and that is how you cut up a chicken.